Welcome to the Esports Report. This is your host, Will Nix, and his co-host, Ashley Hodge. Welcome to the Esports Report, folks. This is your host, Will Nix, with his co-host, Ashley Hodge. Hey, Ashley, how's it going?
Going pretty good. It's been a long day. I'm very tired. You know, COVID, yes. Teaching during a pandemic, year 3 will definitely wear you out.
Yes, it will. We have a lot of stuff to do today, right? We have an interview and a guest host coming in.
We do. It's our first guest host episode, and it's a very special guest from a prestigious organization. If you want to go ahead and tell the folks who we got.
We have Tanya Anderson from the Georgia High School Association, and she's here to tell us all about esports in high schools. So I'm excited because Tanya's a lot of fun to talk to.
And fun fact, all 3 of us actually met at one of the first state championships, which Will over here, his Rocket League team, actually won.
And I like to say I brought the crowd to that event. So she talks about the fun atmosphere. You've talked about the fun atmosphere. I was the atmosphere.
And this has come up before, but my very first words to you were, get off the stage.
Guys, this is going to be very much what she's going to say to me during this podcast and during our video guest will be, Nix, get off the stage. All right, I'm a hog for the limelight. I love it. I'm not going to be honest. I love being on stage no matter what it is. But I'm excited. With Tanya coming in, and then I think, can we preview? We've got some other people coming up. We have Aaron from Play VS, right? This is one of our guests.
I think it's very possible we're going to have more than one Play Versus representative. We might have a panel. Mike, we're going to see. We're going to try. That's coming up pretty soon. We're trying to get in contact with the CEO of Play Versus to have a sit-down conversation with him. There's a esports organization / corporation in Texas that I think we're going to talk to. And, if you want to talk to us, whether you're an esports program in another state or company.
All right. So after Aaron, what do we have, Ashley?
After Aaron, we're going to try to get the CEO of Play Versus. We're working on that. It's very important, I think, for the pod that we have him on and talk about his journey into esports and how Play Versus has grown and things like that. We'll also talk to a company in Texas. If anybody's interested in coming on the pod, talking about their program, their company, or just like experiences with esports, we're happy to have you.
I don't know about you, but I think as soon as we send the invite out, we're going to be drowning some of our advisory council board members.
Very possible. As I've always said, please contact us.
Please email us, message us, something. We're here for you guys.
We do this for you.
We do this for you. And we're doing this for players too. I can't wait. Honestly, that's what I'm looking for in our future segments is getting some players on here and really getting the kids involved and talking to them, get some of the state championship winning teams out there and just talk to them. It's like, hey, what do you think about this?
And also we hope to showcase programs like Will had the great idea of doing like a game of the week or match of the week. So if your school would like to record a Rocket League match, a Legends match, or whatever match and send it to us, we could play it and have you on and have commentary. And that could be something we do.
We would love to have that because honestly, that's going to be a lot more fun than us just talking to each other, even though we're a lot of fun.
Yeah. I like watching us talk.
I
am the editor for the video pod and audio pod. So if anything's wrong, it's my fault. But I watch us a lot.
I can't help that I'm just this pretty, that I carry the show with my good looks alone and hypnotic voice. Oh my gosh.
Oh, welcome to late in the day with teachers who have taught
Yes.
all day. We get stupid silly.
Yes, we do. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Esports Report. This is your host, Will Nix, and his co-host, Ashley Hodge, whose name I just blanked on. It's been that kind of day. And we are glad to have with us Tanya Anderson from GHSA, the Georgia High School Association.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Esports Report. Tanya, tell us how's it going?
Well, it's gone pretty well. We've just gotten back to the office after the break, and there's a new year here at GHSA. You know, we've got some reclass going, so that's always exciting. So we just finished up that process yesterday here at the GHSA. So we're set for 22-23 in that aspect, and things are running along pretty well.
Awesome. Great to hear it. Ashley, you've got some questions I think we're going to start with today.
Yeah. So we're interested in a couple of things with GHSA. You know, back in 2017, everything kind of got started. So just walk us through the process. Like, how did esports come to GHSA? Like, how did this happen?
Sure. Let me explain what the association that GHSA has with National Federation first. So the National Federation of High Schools is the parent organization of all the state high school associations. So that organization first introduced esports to all of the state associations. And so that parent association also kind of fosters and supports us for with these programs. Esports is one of those programs. Also, the National Federation Network, which you may be familiar with, and that in that broadcasting network, our schools, they benefit from broadcasting whatever they're doing. It could be anything. It could be esports, which, you know, we did the championships with on National Federation Network. So there's all kinds of things that the National Federation helps us you know, gives us the support for, and esports was one of those programs.
Awesome. So the question every coach always likes to ask, and every kid always asks, you know where it's coming, is how do you choose the games?
Oh, the games? Yeah, well, we, as you know, we try to keep things on a sort of a high school level. We try to keep the games as non-violent as possible. Obviously, it's not GHSA that's just choosing the games.
Right.
It's a partnership with the National Federation and the 20 or so states that have adopted esports. So yes, we have decided not to choose some of those games that I know some of our schools would like to play, but you know, we sort of catered to what we feel like high school students or what we want to present to high school students, not exactly what they want, but of course they can play those other games when they go to college.
Understandable. And I appreciate you answering the question. And I agree with you. I think there is a place, and I don't think people understand that there's multiple layers to this, and they just want to go, oh, they won't let us do. And I'm like, that's not necessarily the case.
Well, thank you for your support with that.
They just don't understand that it's very nuanced. You know, like when the Fortnite fiasco happened, people like, oh, we don't get to play this. And it's like, well, there are reasons why we don't get to play it. And we're going to have a later episode about first-person shooters and the impact of that on gaming. But is there anything you want to talk about with that whole thing that happened?
Well, I thankfully I joined right after, you know, that miscommunication.
You did. I remember.
Right after that miscommunication, and I'll be honest, I was like, whoa, what have I gotten myself into? You know, But thanks to National Federation, they did help us, get back on track with just communication and, so Play Versus and National Federation and GHSA, we all work together to try to communicate with our schools and to communicate with each other. So, it did get a little messy there, but I think we're back on track now.
Speaking of Play Versus, how did GHSA become partners with them? Because, there's the high school esports league and there's also, what is that other federation?
The National Esports High School, something like that. I can't remember.
NASEF. I know the acronym,
Yeah.
but I can't remember what it stands for. So how did Play Versus become like the official partner?
Well, that is directly attributed to our association with National Federation. And so because, because of the partnership with Play Versus and National Federation, that became our partnership as well. And also those 20 states that compete in championship in, state championship esports, that is a direct association with National Federation and Play Versus because of our affiliation with them.
What I'm hearing is Play Versus was smart. Okay.
That's what I was about to say.
Right.
They were very smart.
And interestingly, they have since moved from the youth and college product to just high school. So they're now just focusing on the high school and the state associations. So, I hope that will benefit all of our schools and GHSA as well.
What about the future, you think? What is the future of esports for Georgia?
Oh gosh, I hope we continue to grow. We've seen a lot of growth in
Wow,
our
yes.
in our very first season. When did we start? Fall of 2018. We had, I think it's 2018, we had 6 schools. So this past fall.
You had 2.
So this past fall, 4 years later, we had 141 schools competing in
Wow.
GHSA Esports. So, each, and I don't even say each year, each season, we've grown. And even from last season, the number was 101 to this season, 141. And now we're about to begin a new season. I hope we see some growth there too.
I think with some of the game additions that we're getting, we're going to see some. I mean, my next question, I think Ashley was thinking about too, is what do you think are some schools why they're headed, to join esports? What's making, what do you think what's keeping them away?
I think it sounds like a big, scary, undertaking. It's sort of intimidating for some school systems to think about, all the technicalities, the networks, the hardware, the software, the whitelist, all those things that they're not very familiar with. So they just feel a little bit intimidating by that. But I think that Play Versus does a good job of, walking each school and school system through, getting started and providing that support. In fact, we'll have a webinar on Friday where Play Versus will, help new schools to get started. So I hope, all of our schools will join us. So that, of course, some of you are not just getting started. You've done this many seasons, but some will be joining that have never done this. So I think Play Versus does a good job of helping us through that. Also, I think finding a coach might be a little bit difficult because, the coaches think they need to know they have to be a good gamer and be IT savvy. Of course, that's very helpful. But I think you can get started and hey, those kids know how to do this. They can pretty much just run their sport and they just need some leadership.
I think that's a lot of it. I think, Ashley, we've talked about that as how important, finding people who are just willing to give it a chance, give esports a chance to coach. And it's not that it's not a different environment. It's still coaching. It's, it's still this, Tanya and I, you and I've had this talk and, it's becoming, much more, I don't want to say the word difficult, but, demanding because of the multiple game aspect.
Oh,
but
yes.
I give my advice, and I'm helping a young coach in the western part of the state. And I keep telling him, I said, just pick one of the 2 games right now. Just pick 1 or 2 and start with that, and then dive deep into the deep end of the pool. So
Good advice.
So yeah, how has your perspective on video games changed since you've like taken over as esports? What do you, when you first started and they're like, hey,
Yeah.
you're gonna do esports, what did you think
Yeah.
versus like what do you think now?
Right. Well, I see esports is different from video games. Yeah, that's where we start, and that's the avenue we choose to take, that brings us this whole team sport. Yes, we use the video game to bring our students a team sport with their coach. It brings them a team aspect. They have that camaraderie, that chance to experience sportsmanship and leadership, all those many things that we know esports brings to us. But yeah, it's changed my perspective of how I view video games. I'm not a gamer myself, but I certainly am very excited about the way we can reach those students who are gamers and just give them that opportunity to be part of a team. I think that's incredibly important.
What do you, if there was one thing you could change right now, and just for fun, nothing serious, but if there was one thing you could change, what would you change right now about esports? What would be something you would change?
Oh, something I could change. I would like to see more female participation. So I think, hey, I'm glad that we have as many participants as we do, but I really like to see more females. And so, I'm not sure what I can do to try to gather that interest, but
I think you
that
did
was
it this
something I'd
year.
like to see.
I think y'all done it this year with the games that y'all have offered, the ones you've added. I'm definitely getting more girls than I've ever had before.
Oh, good. Well, maybe
Mario
that's the
Kart.
ticket.
Mario Kart
Okay,
was
cool.
is big with. I'll have my first all girl team, and I don't say that in a bad way. I'm just really happy. They're good. I had a little young lady email me telling me how good she was, and I was like, yeah.
Oh, great.
I was like,
Well, I did not know that. That's good to hear. I'm excited about that.
Awesome. Glad to give you some good news, Ashley.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, as a female coach, I get asked that question a lot. They're like, how do we get girls in esports? And there's no easy answer for that. I've been gaming since the 90s. And, in 2015, 2014, we had Gamergate, which is an assault on all females in the industry. And we still have just a very toxic environment for females, like in the professional esports realm. So it's really hard to get girls to like sign up because of those things. Now, with high school, we can kind of monitor it a lot better. If somebody's toxic, we can contact the coach and there's like immediate action. So that kind of helps. But I think adding Mario Kart, adding Hearthstone is going to be a lot better.
And even Smash. I mean,
Yeah,
a lot of good Smash gamers that are girls. And what I love about esports, and Tanya, I don't know, is that it's an equal playing field. That if you're good at the game, it doesn't matter who you are. You're good at the game, and rich, poor. If you have access to the game, I just see it as such a chance. Where a lot of other traditional sports, and as someone who's coached traditional sports, you have to have been born and bred into it. It's not something you can just pick up in the next couple of years. I've had guys, they start the freshman year, and by the time they're seniors, they're world beaters, and it's good to see that if somebody's willing to put the time and effort in, they can get there.
In what ways do you think esports can improve for students? Like, what can GHSA do? What can high schools do? What can coaches do? Do you think to just improve it? If you think it needs improving?
Well, yeah, like I said, I'd like to see more female participation, and from what you all just told me, then maybe we're on that road. I sure hope so. I think there's always room for improvement, especially with a sport that's kind of a fledgling sport like this is, or with any sport and activity. There's always adaptations that we can make it better. I feel like that Playverse is working on their service to schools. Of course, would like to work on my service to schools and my communication with schools. I think coaches are doing a great job. They're just caring for their students and supporting their students. I have no problems there. Coaches and students are doing a great job. It's the other people, the other organizations that need to improve. So we'll continue to work on that, and I hope our schools will be patient with us. We're learning too.
We appreciate. I want to give a shout out to the GHSA on this because I've been involved with the GHSA for nearly 20 years, and the advisory council and all the stuff that you involved us with, that has been a big deal to me. The fact that we have a voice when I felt, I'm not being mean or anything when I said, as a soccer coach, you just feel like, you're saying something to your AD and it might get to you guys, but being able to talk to you and getting to know you has been a real honor. So I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate that. I have so much enjoyed getting to know my advisory group and seeing coaches, in person and visiting schools. That's been the best part of coordinating esports to me, is just getting out there and being able to talk, even if it's like this, to virtually to those involved with the sport. It's been a lot of fun for me.
Awesome.
Speaking of the advisory board, I think other states are interested in starting that. So I think we should discuss like how it came to be, the framework that we use, and kind of why we use it, just so when they watch this or listen to it, they kind of have an idea of how they could get one started.
Right. Well, it came to me as a recommendation. I honestly, I don't know why I didn't think of it myself, because every other sport or activity that I coordinate, I have an advisory board. So, obviously, as I said, I'm not a gamer. I was an average traditional athlete in high school. So, I don't have that experience, and I'd be foolish to try to navigate this esports world without you all and your expertise and knowledge. So, and with one act play, with literary, with cross country and track, I have an incredible support system. I mean, just phenomenal people that are more experienced in each of those categories. I'm just pretty much the liaison here at GHSA. Those are the people with the real knowledge in that particular sport and activity. So, yeah, I would say it would be advisable for any of our state associations to adopt an advisory group like ours. It's been an incredibly helpful resource to me.
Certain days, right? I mean, not all of them.
Hey, it's fun all the time.
It is fun all the time. Yes.
Listen, they say that teachers are the hardest group to please.
Yes, we
So
are. You coaches even higher.
We keep trying, though. We just keep trying over here.
Yes.
So can you share any positive stories that have happened with like schools and esports, anything like that?
Sure. Well, to me, the in-person championships are just so much fun to me. As I said, that, it's just pleasurable coming together with those students, those coaches. They're happy to be there. There's, less negativity. I go to a lot of state events, and
we're not that crowd.
I feel like, I feel like at esports, these people are happy and they're there to have fun, which is, what we would like for it all our state championship events. That doesn't necessarily always happen, but there's always a positive experience at those in-person championship events. And of course, I hear, stories, just communication through email or chats, that we have of students that have done well in GHSA Esports and are doing well, making lots of money after that. So I feel like their, little experience in GHSA Esports, although they were probably gaming before that, they did touch GHSA and go on to, to do other things in esports. And I'm just incredibly proud of those students and wish them the best. And actually, I would say, you're going from, esports coach to play versus super coach and beyond. You continue to succeed in what you're doing. And that's probably, one of the greatest positive stories that I've heard, just, your story yourself.
Oh, thank you. This time I didn't have to toot my own horn.
I was going to say, she was going to say these things about herself, but I'm glad you get to say it instead, Tanya. So.
Or there's your intro.
There you go.
Oh gosh.
I will say, thanks to GHSA and Play Versus, I now serve on the Riot Advisory Board. which it would have never been possible had I not started out as a Georgia esports coach. So it is weird how different my career has turned out versus when I was teaching English at my first school.
Right. We're super proud of you, Ashley. Wish you the best.
I appreciate it. Speaking of state championships, like I know you and I just recently went to the one in West Georgia.
Yeah.
What's the process for like selecting a venue?
Well, as you can imagine, hosting a esports championship is not easy. So to be honest, I have not actually really done a selection. The first, let's see, when after the pandemic or during the pandemic, it was extremely hard to find a venue that would have us. So I visited 5 and only one stepped up and was able to, just was brave enough to do the work and actually host us. And that was at Kennesaw State. So really what has happened is venues have volunteered and said, we're interested. And thankfully, they've just been brave enough to host, with all of the little details that have to come together perfectly to make all this stuff happen. It just, you don't just snap your fingers. They have to actually move in that equipment. It's not just there in the gymnasium. So they do that. And so far, it's just been, those universities volunteering, and also Mount Vernon, one of our high schools, did volunteer for us to host. And I'm sure they had a lot of help. Yeah, host they hosted a great in-person championship. Now we have had some virtual championships. That's not as much fun to me, but it's pretty cool to watch. I have watched those, but I just love to be in person with the students and coaches. So we will strive to continue that.
I have warm feelings for Mount Vernon because I happened to win there. So
I remember
that was your first.
That was the first one I attended.
Yeah, that's when we met. So
that's when all 3 of us met.
That's all 3 of us met. Yeah, actually told me to get off the stage.
Yeah, that's when I told you to get off the stage.
That was a great event, and
it was.
They made it look so easy. I've learned that it's not that easy since then, but we just kind of showed up with the trophies and medals and t-shirts, and it was all in place. And I was like, hey, I want to do esports. And I'm so glad that I did. When I did move into the associate director job, I did actually ask for esports because I was just really, excited, ignited by that Mount Vernon championship and how, it's just a totally different aspect of GHSA and just something totally different from what we've been doing, in the past. So it was very exciting to me.
Yeah, esports, I think, is bringing together a group of kids that otherwise might not be involved in any kind of sport or community. I really feel like it's been beneficial to students because we're reaching a group that otherwise would not have been involved with anything.
That's exactly what I think.
That too, I agree, but I also think it's also bringing kids together who normally wouldn't play together. Because I had a group of athletes and non-athletes come together and form, my powerhouse teams. And I think it's bridging communities, and more than just representing one, it's bridging these two together.
Yeah, I've seen that, especially when we introduced FIFA and Madden, those traditional athletes are coming to, play esports, and they're enjoying it and they're good at it.
My best Rocket League guys have always been former soccer players and football players. That's who, and then they come along, and it's amazing. It's amazing how these groups get along. So
kids are just amazing anyway. That's why I love what I do, just to watch kids do the things they do. They're just amazing.
Let me ask you this. So in our previous episode, episode 2 that has not aired yet, that's coming out Thursday. It's coming out Thursday. We talk about like what the definition of esports is. And to us, it's kind of like a team-based game. because students are going to have, more fun if they're playing with a team. But, some of the games we offer are not team-based, like FIFA, Madden, Hearthstone will be team-based. Smash, Mario Kart. I don't think Mario
Kart's 4v4.
Okay, so that one's team-based. It's been a while since I played Mario Kart.
Mhm.
But what are your thoughts on that? Like, yes, it's team-based, but sometimes it's not team-based. Like just general thoughts on that.
Right. Well, I think, and this may be where you have to correct me because I am not the gamer, but I know that we were playing Madden, in consecutive, like 1v1 maybe, and it was just incredibly long. So, yeah, I do wish that we had more team-based sports, esports, and hopefully we'll work towards that. But what we wanted to do, or what I say we, but the GHSA and also those states that are part of National Federation really wanted sort of a sport-based esports game, if that makes sense. So that's
a soccer game, then an electronic version of that, right?
Yeah. So that's how FIFA and Madden got into our lineup. But I do regret that we've had to kind of scale it down because of its length of play to just the one athlete. So maybe, as we grow, as we adapt, we can just kind of mix up our lineup of games and see what works best for us. But I agree, esports is a team-based sport where you have team, you have a coach, and you have that competitive spirit. That's what I think esports is versus video games.
Yep, I agree 100%. And I think what people don't understand is that in our audience, we're hoping to reach is that this takes some time. We're learning too. I mean, it's not like anyone just had an esports thing ready to go and take it, adapt it, and go with it. We're having to learn what works and what doesn't work.
Definitely here at GHSA, we're definitely learning with esports and all sports and activities. There's something something new every day.
Right.
I was gonna say with play versus and everything just changes season to season. So you just kind of adapt and learn as you go.
Funny you should say I do have some new changes from play versus, so I'll share that with the group. I just got those this afternoon, and so I'll share that with the group as soon as I can. Yeah.
Future episode, the changes play VS brought.
I was gonna say, there's one guarantee when you're doing esports is that everything will change.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll adapt and be flexible, and we can go with the flow.
And I guess what message would you like to say to coaches who are kind of on the fence, like they're kind of interested, but they're also kind of scared? Like, what would you just say to them?
Oh, I'd say come join us, take the leap. We're going to help you through. If I can't do it, I probably can. I'm going to hook you up with someone who can. That's either my group or the people that play versus or National Federation. Someone is going to help you get started and support you along the way. Yeah, that's one of the things I want to say about the advisory group. You all have been incredible, not just helping me, but also helping your fellow coaches. If I have a question that I can't answer about esports, and I very often do, then I just send it in my, I've got you saved in my messaging tool, and I just send that information out, and you all are always helpful to that new coach that needs some support. So I'd say come join us. We're ready for you.
Question: do you think it's coaches that are more reluctant, or do you think it's higher up with administration and ADs? Because
I think it's the administration, and maybe they're a little bit paranoid or something about security. I'm not sure exactly, but there is a little bit of an intimidation with esports, I think, with our school systems and schools. But like I said, we just have a really good support group, and we can help you get started, and then your kids can have fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tanya. We really do appreciate having you on. Ashley, you got anything else?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for your time. I know you're extremely busy. We appreciate you coming on the pod. All right, peeps, that will wrap us up. I'm sorry if anything abruptly stopped and was edited weird because Zoom decided to crash. And we do the best we can here with what we got. So, as always, we would like to remind you to like and subscribe. We are now on Apple iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play as audio podcast, and then video podcast. We're on.
That's just awesome.
We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram,
Everywhere.
everywhere.
We are everywhere. We are the Esports Report.
Yeah, and we hope you find this information helpful and useful. And if you want to have some ads read in between our segments, we're more than happy to do that. I would say, right, next.
Oh, I am the voiceover artist ready to do all your commercial breaks. Yes.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps us up. So we'll see you peeps next time. Hope you have a good one.
Bye, guys. Thank you. This is Will Nix for the Esports Report. Bye, Ashley.
And Ashley Hodge signing off. Bye.